DVD commentaries and like things that didn't make the transition to Blu-ray. I know, I think it was Chris. I was listening to you. Maybe it was on the like hot dog episode.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about.
The Laserdisc commentaries where people were less guarded and stuff. Yeah, like I feel like that is also true to a lesser extent, but still true on the DVD ones. Like even if it was just like trying weirder shit. Like, like I was recently listening to the Talladega Nights commentaries, and they like one of them is like both of them are a bit. But one of them is a bit where they're like 35 years in the future recording like a reunion commentary and everyone is in character for the entire stretch of the commentary. And it's just so fucking weird. Like, yeah, it's not funny all the time, but it is funny a lot of the time. And it's like a whole separate thing that like, can you imagine like Will Ferrell today putting out a movie and going and sitting down and doing this weirdo fucking commentary? Like, no, he doesn't do that kind of thing anymore. And because that's just not the place that physical media has in our culture. So why would he waste his time doing that? So yeah, a lot of weird shit that is on those DVDs that I value still highly. Yeah. More people should.
I mean, I am not really a physical media collector today, but during the height of that was the DVD era. And I got rid of all of my DVDs, and now I'm at the point where I'm like, I need to order some of them at least just to rip certain things from them and then turn them in again.
Yeah. Well, I definitely went through something similar where it was, when DVDs were huge, I was a little boy with no responsibilities. And so all of my disposable income went to I would walk to Borders and I would sit there and I would just flip through their DVD section and I would have the time of my life and I'd walk out of there with one. But, when Blu-rays came out, I felt so betrayed. I was like, oh, this is just better. It is just better. And so I was like, oh, I'm not going to waste my money getting new ones, and I'm going to get rid of a lot of these DVDs out of spite as well, because eventually the new and better version will come out down the road, which I'll eventually get. And now I'm like, fuck, all those DVDs I got rid of because I was a spiteful little boy. They could be mine. My collection could be that much greater.
Yeah.
What a shame. What a shame.
No, I mean, it's also crazy just to me, too, like how much I still use physical media and the special features, whether they're commentaries or like behind the scenes stuff or documentaries that they have on them for like the research, you know?
And it was a huge part of Festival Horror House.
Yeah. And I mean, speaking to like not being as guarded, I mean, seriously, like the Seven had like 4 commentaries, which I think all first originally went to the Laserdisc and have been ported over to like the DVD, the Blu-ray, now the 4K, of all of them. And I don't think Fincher would sit down and do like a commentary about this shit nowadays for the new 4K that came out. So it's like, I'm glad that those at least like kept going through, because that's where he fucking calls out Kevin Spacey and says it's like bullshit that like they hired someone else for John Doe and then fired him when Spacey came to set. I mean, he's very diplomatic about it, but so it's, it's, his stuff's like so invaluable and it's a bummer.
Yep.
But should we just get into these 2 and/or 3 movies we're going to talk about tonight then?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Hello, everyone.
Remember, like from Star Wars?
Oh, I do. This is actually going to be, well, no, there's an episode in between, but I was going to say this is after our Star Wars episode. So you almost had the perfect reference for something you didn't know was a reference.
Wow. Well, may the 4th be with us all, because that's right around the corner.
Yep. That's the episode.
Oh, there we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dead Formats, a movie podcast where each episode we investigate grave aberrations of cinema. I'm your host, Chris, and this episode we're going to be discussing a couple more V-cinema bangers, Miracle Bunny and Miracle Bunny 2 from 1988, and Cyclops from 1987. Today, I'm joined, as you've already heard, by 2 very special guests. They're not eels, they're rabbits. Brantley, George, welcome. How are you doing this evening?
And what's the deal with that turtle?
Still don't know.
What's up, Chris? Thanks for having me back. Always a pleasure to chat with you. And also, it's just a great opportunity to talk with my friend Brantley. Like he said, it was a surprise to get to be hanging out with him tonight, and I'm thrilled about it.
Absolutely. I'm going to echo that 100%. Yeah, doing great. Happy to be here. And exactly. Happy to see George and get to kick it with you guys.
Awesome. So Brantley is one half of the Horror Drafts podcast and a filmmaker, and George is the former host of the Best Little Horror House in Philly. If you listen to this show, you'll be familiar with both of them from an earlier episode where we talked about Gakidama and biotherapy. So
hell yeah,
check that one out. And once again, I have brought these two gentlemen on to talk some more Age of Confusion v Cinema, which is our dead format of the day. If you want to know a little bit more about the history of these types of films, hey, go back and listen to us talking about it in the episode I just referenced, because we did talk about it quite a bit. But not only that, these guys got to watch a special double feature presentation of these films that I put together, because guess what? I'm bringing V Cinema to the big screen, baby.
What?
It's happening.
Tell me more.
So Speak on that.
Oh, I will. I'm very excited to announce that a couple months from now, I'll be putting on a showing of Miracle Bunny and Cyclops on Saturday, August 9th at the Guild Cinema in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So if you live anywhere nearby and like to watch weird shit, mark it on your calendars, folks.
Hell yeah. Well, as someone who has just seen this double feature, let me tell you, folks, you're in for a treat.
Yeah. I'm very excited for this. It's something I've wanted to do for a long time. I love going to the movies, love going to see repertory screenings. I think I'm honestly more prone to going to see those than like new movies. So, I just love having the chance to go and see movies on the big screen that didn't have the chance to because I wasn't old enough or I wasn't born or whatever.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'm excited for you. And I loved the way that you put it together in your presentation and even included an intermission. That was really cool.
Well, thank you. I feel pretty happy with the way I put it together. As you know, as a filmmaker, Brantley, there comes a certain point where you can't let perfect be the enemy of good. So there's some things where I'm like, I could change that, but I know if I go back and change it, it's not just going to be that. It's going to be a million other things, so.
Wow. Well, it's now that I know that you put that together yourself, that really makes the intermission all the more harrowing. The short that's in there. Yeah, people are not going to. This is the thing. Ordinarily, an intermission is the perfect opportunity to go to the bathroom, get a snack or something. You put too much good stuff in the intermission. People are not going to want to leave their damn seats.
Well, it's also that, the intermission happens like 40 minutes into it. So it's really just for like the people that really didn't take care of their bathroom needs before the film started.
That's true. Hey, my buddy, I know, we go to the movie together pretty frequently and he, will take any opportunity to go to the bathroom you give him.
Yeah. But I've definitely noticed that it seems like the repertory showings are always movies that people have seen a million times. And I get it. You have to make money. You are running a business. So it does make sense to show movies that people have actually heard of. But at the same time, how many times can you see Back to the Future or The Thing? And so this has been a frustration of mine for a while. It's like, why is nobody showing Cyclops in theaters? What are we doing?
The people are demanding it. Specifically, the person, Chris, is demanding it.
Yeah. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about like my process of getting this approved for anyone else that is like interested in this, because it seems to be sort of impenetrable if you're not in the business. Like, to show a film in a U.S. theater, you need a public performance license from whomever holds the U.S. distribution rights. So if like me, you've wondered why you don't see repertory screenings of obscure films, that specifically is the reason.
So I'm very curious about this. So I really actually want to hear all of it. I raised my hand because I was like, I'm one of those people who's very interested in how you got the rights, especially knowing all the like weird kind of elements of V Cinema.
Yeah. So I knew that going in that like I would have to get rights, but I also thought like, who's really paying attention? You know, like if I screened Star Wars without permission, yeah, Disney might actually find out about that and sue me. But with something like Cyclops, I was like, does this even have a U.S. rights holder? Which it turns out it does. But even if they didn't, it's like
you. Yeah,
I wish. Tracking that rights holder down, though, was like a whole other thing. I ended up getting lucky. If I had tried to show Gaki-Dama or biotherapy, I probably would have just hit a dead end. Like no U.S. rights holder, just old Japanese studios who either don't grant permission or want a small fortune to do so. Like we talked about in the last episode we three did together, Japanese studios can be very, it's mine to do nothing with about this stuff.
For sure.
So I started by trying to contact the original Japanese studio. No luck. I reached out to a mutual friend of ours in the biz and I was like, hey, I want to show some super obscure movie in a theater. I don't think I'll get the rights, but if the theater asks, as someone who works, in film festivals, do you have any magic words for me that will basically like get them to stop asking questions? And he didn't, unfortunately. He basically just said, some theaters screen unlicensed stuff and roll the dice. But, since I don't own a theater yet, that didn't seem like the move to put someone else in like legal jeopardy. Even though I assume it would ultimately fall on me. It just didn't seem like a good way to build a relationship with a theater if I try to show a movie there and they immediately get sued. So,
but they're already so strapped these days. I don't think that they're looking for legal battles too. Yeah,
especially small theaters like this one. I assume it's a hard operation to keep afloat. But that person did suggest that I reach out to AGFA, the American Genre Film Archive, I believe. Is that?
Yeah, you got it.
And shout out to them. They did respond quickly. They couldn't really help. I assume if I had a pre-existing relationship with them, maybe they would have been, tried to help me out a little bit more. But I'm just some dude cold emailing them. But they said, yeah, we don't have the rights to that. You'll probably have to go to the Japanese production companies, which is, in their words, quote, always dicey and expensive. So,
yeah, they are great, though. I had to go through them for Tetsuo the Iron Man when I was showing that. Before the podcast episode. And they did make it very convenient. They also were very understanding of the fact that I was but a humble man trying to screen this for about 20 people. So, They were definitely very understanding. I think come to it from a similar position of like, we just want people to see this weird shit. So
yeah, and they were like, hey, we don't have this, but here's like our most current up to date of list movies we do have that you could get rights to if you wanted to. And I saw some things in there that I don't think they've released on disc and were pretty interesting.
The DCI list is pretty extensive.
So
sweet.
Maybe to avoid all of this confusion next time, I may be reaching out to AGFA again. But so at that point, I figured, maybe I can just get permission directly from someone who made the movie, and that would be good enough. So I did email the director of Cyclops, George Ida. Surprisingly, he did get back to me, and he was like, hey, here's my producer's email. Ask him. But I never heard anything back.
Can I pause real quick and ask a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm curious how you found the director's email, because I've found like some emails myself, and I'm just curious what your process was, especially for someone who I assume is in Japan still, or are they in the US now?
He's in Japan. So he actually, as we'll talk about, has a... I don't want to besmirch other V cinema directors, but he has done things that someone may have heard of. So he does have more of a presence. I reached out to him on Instagram and I was like, as I was doing all of this, I'm like, okay, well, I don't know if they speak English or not. So I always had to include like a machine translated version of whatever I was saying. He did respond to me in English. He gave me his producer's email, and that just didn't end up going anywhere, unfortunately. Or I guess it doesn't really matter with the way things turned out. But, I was like, hey, I really love your film. he didn't say anything back about that. So I was like, I'll probably stop bothering him, this guy, about some movie he directed almost 40 years ago. But so
you could have told him you only had eye for it.
Yeah. While I was waiting to hear back from the producer of this movie, I did remember that Cyclops had a Europe-only Blu-ray release. So I reached out to that distributor, Cinestrange, and I was like, hey, I'm in the US, trying to find out who has the rights to this. They replied saying that the US rights holder, like the US rights had already been secured by a company, but that company hadn't released a disc yet. And so they couldn't tell me who it was, but they said they'd pass my info along. And so that US distributor did eventually reach out to me and we got it sorted. I mean, for obvious reasons, I can't tell you who that is, but I did get lucky, and hopefully this will get another, region 1. Is that us?
That's us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Hopefully it'll get a region 1 release. But
I just want to jump in here and say this is the most exciting part of the entire podcast for me, because all of these like roads and dead ends and everything, but like continuing on, like this is just research, and it's just like the stuff that like I'm really excited about. Like I'm dealing with this with my own, like my next movie I'm in the process of, because I've been trying to find footage, like older footage from like the 70s, 80s, and it has been so many dead ends and so many I have no ideas, but like eventually I found like some, so it's like that hunt for treasure essentially is like so cool to me. So this is my favorite part of probably the podcast all night, is this hunt for the rights.
Yeah, and this is, as we talked about last time, this is the barrier to getting this stuff to a non-Japanese audience, is that studios just don't play ball, although that is changing because Toei has apparently recently become very cooperative with US distributors. So there is going to be like this, Arrow has the rights to a lot of their catalog. So they're coming out with like a V Cinema Toei box set through Arrow that I saw a mention of a couple months back, that includes like their early stuff, like Crime Hunter, Bullets of Rage, the first official V Cinema movie. So I am hoping that some of this stuff will be seen by people soon.
Yeah, that would be cool. Huh. Lord knows we would love to have this be like something that people aren't just hearing about, but like actually experiencing, Yeah,
and even though, as we'll talk about, Cyclops probably could look better still, it is cool to just have a V Cinema film that looks that good in any capacity, and not just a pixelated VHS rip that's been passed around thousands of times.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I thought this looked pretty damn good when we watched it. I was actually surprised with both Miracle Bunny and Cyclops that they looked really good. Yeah, I don't know if you did upscaling or if this is from. I didn't
do anything. So the blue.
Okay.
Cyclops is from the Cinestrange Blu-ray. Miracle Bunny was digitized by just a person that has a VHS of it. They did a great job. In the
second one, they said that it was upscaled, I believe. So I assume that applied to the first one as well.
Yeah. And also, like, I was planning on showing something that wasn't Miracle Bunny, but I decided, I was like, I can't, since I've never done this before, using like stuff that has poor source material, I was like, this could end up looking just fucking terrible on a movie screen. So I was like, let me find something that's roughly the same length that is better quality and slot that in there.
No, that's a real concern, because like when you're dealing with a projector, like, how far the throw is really going to affect like the quality that ends up hitting the screen. So
yeah. I mean, all this to say, if you're someone out there who is just dying to do a public screening of your favorite super obscure film, it can be done. It'll take some work. It may not end up being straightforward, but you can do it. So again, Saturday, August 9th, Guild Cinema, Albuquerque, New Mexico. Come out and show that all this time and effort and money wasn't all for naught, because it does cost money to do these things. Not a whole lot in this case, but it would be nice to recoup some of that.
Hell yeah.
So can I ask Chris a little bit more about the specifics of it? So do you just have an upfront license costs that you pay, or are they taking a percentage of the tickets sold and stuff, or a combination of the two?
So some of them do take a percentage. I think if you're dealing with some of the bigger studios that work through these services, like I think Umbrella might be the name of one of these big people that basically they manage this stuff for a Universal or a Fox or a Disney. They have a website that you can go on where you very easily can go through their catalog, see which regions of the world you can get a screening license for. I have seen that sometimes they will take a percentage of the whatever the ticket take is for that night. The company I worked with, it's like no one gives a shit about Cyclops. It's a theater for like 100 people. They're just like, hey, this is a flat fee. Just pay this and we're good. And then another flat fee from the venue to rent it out. And I'm responsible for selling tickets and promotion to it.
Gotcha.
All in all, much less than I would have imagined it to be going into it. But I guess that could just be my own ignorance of this sort of thing. Like I had expected it to cost a lot more.
Yeah. Sounds like a good deal.
If I can get 15 people to show up, I'll be happy and hope. I mean, it seems like that itself might cover the cost. So,
yeah. Well, I'm excited for you, man. I hope it goes well.
Me too.
I hope it goes well too. And hopefully I can do it on a semi-regular basis. If it does, fingers crossed.
That sounds awesome. I mean, part of the joy of like doing the that Tetsuo screening was just like people who had not heard of Best Little Horror House in Philly like showed up and were like, I'm just here to see Tetsuo. Like they're just like excited that someone was showing it.
Yeah.
So yeah, there definitely I think is an audience for people who are looking for something a little outside the norm.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I'm really just doing this because I want to see Cyclops on the big screen. Like
you're the number one audience, right?
Yeah. So hopefully,
there was sorry, not to keep interrupting.
No, go ahead.
Andrei Zhuevsky, who did the movie Possession, I was listening to his commentary on that movie, and he was talking about, like, the moderator basically asked him, like, what do you think about when you're considering the audience perspective on what you're making? And he was like, I don't give a fuck about the audience. I'm the audience. I watch Titanic. I go to the movies. And I was like, yeah, everyone, like we are the audience too. Like we go out. In fact, we probably go out to more movies. So, I definitely think that, people should be trying to get these things together. People in cities all over, not just in Albuquerque and Philadelphia, but wherever you are, listener, go put on a weirdo screening.
Yeah, go do a showing of Hot Dog Video Volume 11, check your level on Love and Sex.
That's right.
It's what everyone wants.
Everyone's talking about it. And then afterward, everyone files out and they're talking about what they got on their score and everything.
Yeah. But so this little special double feature presentation that we were talking about, it just kind of starts with a short little montage for the uninitiated to sort of explain what V Cinema is. Not all of the films featured are V Cinema, strictly speaking, but I think it all fits the mood, and a lot of it comes from my own personal rips, and several of the films highlighted have been featured on this very show, which I'm sure both Brantley and George recognized.
Funnily enough, again, before I realized that you made it, I was like, oh, fuck, there's Kakitama.
Oh, biotherapy. But after that little preamble, it does kick off with Miracle Bunny, which is our first film, and it is a film produced by Continental Showbo, a studio who produced this and Miracle Bunny 2 and nothing else, according to Letterboxd. And so
that's funny. I heard they were the inspiration for the new Seth Rogen show, The Studio, right? Because the name of their studio is Continental, I believe.
Is it?
No. Bullshit.
You got me, Brantley.
All right.
But unlike the last two V Cinema films we discussed on this show, this one doesn't exist in as much of a vacuum because both the director and the star of this film have actually done some other things that you may have heard of. I know, George, you have actually seen one of this director's other films.
That's right. Entrails of a Virgin, right? That's this.
What I'm talking about is Monster Seafood Wars, which I feel like you saw at some festival a few years ago.
I certainly did, and did not care for it.
I do remember that because I remember you were at a festival and you like showed the lineup and I was like, oh, that looks interesting. And then you saw it and you're like, this kind of sucked. And I just have not seen it because of that.
Yeah, it was I could certainly appreciate the effort and the earnestness, but for me, it kind of highlighted the things that are kind of negative about kaiju movies and didn't do a good job of making them the fun parts like the most successful kaiju movies do for me.
Gotcha.
You really felt the low budget in it, unfortunately, and a lot of exposition that was really unpleasant.
Yeah, but this director, Minoru Kawasaki, he has 78 directing credits, which is a lot more than whoever directed Biotherapy. Some of it is stuff that people may have actually heard of, which is a refreshing change of pace, I guess.
Sure.
And a lot of them seem to have a similar vibe to Miracle Bunny. So that is...
Now, when I started looking at this movie after the fact, I watched the movie, and then I started looking at it on Letterboxd and stuff. And it was not until I looked at Letterboxd that it occurred to me that this movie could be considered erotic. It was listed as like soft adult film. And I said, for who? Who is being turned on by this?
Yeah, well, I was a little, when we watched Miracle Bunny 2, at the beginning of it, whoever had uploaded it was talking about how, like, certain parts of the VHS were worn.
Yeah.
And, like, really tongue-in-cheek way. And I'm like, who the hell is this erotic?
Yeah, so...
yeah, it was weird.
So what this is, it's kind of an idol image video. And I think a lot of people these days are somewhat familiar with the concept of idol culture in East Asia now that K-pop is, like, internationally known. Like what's the big one that everyone BTS.
BTS?
Yeah.
Also Hatsune Miku is like idol,
yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm. And I think there was like a 15 years ago like Domino's Hatsune Miku crossover. So
there you go.
It's something that we kind of know about here. Basically, that's a
legacy that has, a lot of honor considering the turtles and Pizza Hut and everything.
Yeah. But basically what idol culture is, it's this whole industry that centers around marketing young performers as like these idealized, multi-talented celebrities. If you've seen Perfect Blue, that's about idol culture in Japan. But there are all different types of idols. They're not all like boy and girl bands. There's internet idols, adult video idols, modeling idols. And so when a company is introducing a new idol back at this time, 1988, they would produce what is known as an image video, which is basically a video featuring the new idol that like communicates the image that they're trying to market. And that is partially what Miracle Bunny is. Eiko Kuroki was being pushed as what is called a gravure idol, which is basically, from what I can tell, mostly a swimsuit modeling type of idol. And I see so much is clicking for you guys at this point.
Makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah, it certainly does.
Yeah, so I skimmed through a couple gravure idol image videos, and basically they're just like...
I bet you did, you dog, you.
Well, as you said, it's like, if you don't know they're erotic going into it, you're just kind of like, what the fuck is this? Like, because basically it's like, imagine a Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition photo shoot, but in video form. It's just like a cute girl in a bathing suit on a beach, sometimes looking at the camera while music is playing, which, Yeah,
it felt almost like a travelogue at one point.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. So that's the basic rundown as I understand it. I am far from an expert on idol culture. It's not something I'm really into or that I understand on any deep level. It's just something that happens to intersect with my other interests from time to time, as is the case with Miracle Bunny. So that's how Miracle Bunny began its life, as a gravure idol image video for Eiko Kuroki. But at some point, Minoru Kawasaki decided to add a narrative to it, which is where all the weird rabbit stuff comes from. And,
it's weird because I couldn't tell that was added later in the game.
Yeah.
It's seamless. But it's like this sort of story seems to be one of his preoccupations, where like anthropomorphized animals living in human society. He has a movie called Crab Goalkeeper, where a giant crab joins a professional soccer team.
I'm in.
There's another one called Executive Koala, where a giant koala works as a salaryman at a pickle company. Very weird stuff.
He also directed a talking cat, right?
Actually, you joke, but there is one called Cat Ramen Taisho.
Wow.
Which the letterboxd description is a supermodel cat. Everybody believes he will be a supermodel. He has no clue how to survive on his own. He's always been fed and pampered as a model cat, and he tries to get jobs, becomes homeless until he finds his place in a noodle shop where he becomes a successful cook. Wow. So he literally does have a talking cat movie.
That's
an inspiration for Ratatouille here.
Yeah.
It's a very weird focus to find in a filmography. I don't know how I feel about it.
It felt not like an erotic film, but it did feel like he was working through something.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder what the Japanese video and film business was. Like, was he just, pigeonholed into making the next animal, film? Like he did it once or twice, and then they're like, "Oh, this is the guy you call when we got a script about animals."
Koala.
Yeah. I think it's actually the opposite, where he was a hair's breadth away from being pigeonholed as someone who made idol image videos, and he was like, "No, fuck that. I'm going." This is Miracle Bunny, baby. We're doing my stuff.
It was hair's breadth HARE, not
absolutely
HAIR.
Correct. But that's kind of the background. Should we just get into the plot of this bad boy?
Let's
take about 30 seconds. Sure.
Not with these notes.
Okay.
I try to edit myself down, but it's tough.
I'm mostly looking at screenshots that I took from 1 and 2 here.
It's an experience more than a narrative.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It begins with some psychedelic video effects and an opening musical number in which a woman wearing bunny ears hops around and sings about how cute she is. There are also guys wearing pineapple masks dancing around in the background. So what did you guys feel upon starting up Miracle Bunny, and this is what you got?
I mean, I definitely appreciate a theme song that really lays out the groundwork really clearly in advance. Okay, it's a bunny girl. She's named Miracle Bunny. It's a secret and she has to keep her ears hidden. Check, check, check. The one thing that they talk about that I feel a little unfulfilled by is they say, "Oh, I can jump to space." And you go, "I would like to see that." And then she never jumps to space.
She sure doesn't.
Yep.
She promises that she can, though.
I love that it just, you knew exactly the movie you were getting with this opening. Though I thought in the first movie I would understand more about the Pineapple Men, and really didn't understand that until Miracle Bunny 2. But yeah, what a way to start it out, where you know exactly the type of movie you're getting into.
That's right. And the Pineapple Men were delightful. They're classic goons. They kind of felt like the putties from TMNT. Just classic jobbers.
Damn, are you sure you weren't secretly listening into our Star Wars episode? You've referenced so many things that we've already talked about, but I
told you I'm in every episode. I just don't always pipe up.
It's turning out to be true. I'm hearing, but I really liked the old school. I guess that would be a lot of it looked like video feedback, like when you point an analog camera at a CRT screen. That's kind of how this movie opens up. And I really appreciated seeing that, because those sort of lo-fi video effects are something that people often try to replicate these days, as we are in a nostalgia era for the 90s, but a lot of the content is being made by people who didn't actually grow up then. So it always looks a little off to me. So it was refreshing to see those sort of video effects in situ, in era appropriate, executed well. So I did really like that.
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. And I mean, he seems to certainly have an affection for that, because I don't remember if it was this or the second one, but don't they pull apart like a drapes that are like essentially like the color bars and everything? Is that in one of these, right?
That is the second one.
That is the second one. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And like George was talking about with Videodrome, the effect was amplified by the fact it happened at home. You know, if you see those color bars in a movie theater, it'll make no sense. Here,
yes, not
it
at
makes
all.
perfect sense.
Yeah, that's right. Perfect sense.
So after that, we're shown scenes in a Japanese office. Workers are smoking, furiously typing gibberish. It's nice. We get to see some actual like artistic filmmaking choices being made in Miracle Bunny right from the get-go.
Man, they are hitting her like quote unquote ugly makeup hard.
Yeah, she's got glasses and a ponytail. Literally.
Yeah, I feel like this was an inspiration for a lot of those like high school rom-coms of the late 80s and early 90s, where you just take the glasses off of the quote-unquote ugly girl and she's like gorgeous all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet every filmmaker of the 90s saw Miracle Bunny and took it into their own work.
100%.
It's not that it's everybody's favorite film, but it's your favorite filmmaker's favorite film.
There you go.
She's the Jennifer Love Hewitt of Japan. I'm always saying this.
Bingo.
A whistle blows, letting the workers know it's time to go to lunch. And we're introduced to our main character, Biko, as she eats lunch by herself, being sure to pick out all the carrots from her soup. A group of her female coworkers gossip about her at another table, talking about how weird she is. The coworkers' conversation continues in the bathroom after lunch, but their shit-talking is interrupted by Biko, who enters the bathroom, walks into a stall, and immediately walks out of it.
She just wanted to interrupt. She could tell because of her rabbit ears.
Wow.
She knew and wanted to interrupt.
It's all coming together. The three gossipy coworkers leave, and as Biko looks at herself in the mirror, she sprouts a pair of white rabbit ears, which she hides underneath her hair.
Now, imagine that you had these ears. What a pain in the ass it would be. I do sympathize. It does seem like it would be a nightmare.
Yeah.
100%.
Having 4 ears, nothing good can come from that.
No.
Now, I didn't realize it at the time, but when we learn later that eating carrots is what helps her transform into, you know, the full bunny, Miracle Bunny getup, I'm realizing that the bunny ears maybe sprouted out here because of the residual carrot that was in the stew that she was still drinking, even though she picked out the other carrots, right? I mean,
wow.
Is this the obvious like kind of hint here, where you know that's what happened?
So it also like kind of implies in this scene in particular, and maybe a few others, that like wearing her glasses somehow keeps them in check as well. I'm like you, Brantley. I wasn't really sure.
I assumed it was emotions, but I was just being, making jokes.
Well, first of all, I think you're onto something, Brantley. And I do think that this carrot juice theory has some legs, some bunny legs. But I was of the sort of impression that it was just like an emotional thing. But I think what Chris is saying also makes sense in terms of she's wearing the glasses as like part of her commitment to being human.
Yeah.
And so like when she is feeling the stress and when they come off, it's like, oh God, here come the damn rabbit ears, you know?
Well, and in eating carrots is supposedly good for your eyesight. So if she's held off eating it for so long, of course she needs those glasses.
That's right. That's exactly right.
As the workday comes to a close, she is approached by Saicho, the coolest guy in the office, who asks her out on a date and throws a business card at her.
I mean, I do love that this film just like knows exactly what it is and is just playing up this, style. It's just so, I think it's interesting because it's very intentional camp. And I think often when you go for intentional camp, it's really tough to nail it. I think it can be done, but usually I think the campy movies that work well are ones that didn't go in intending to be campy. But like this, I feel like they're very like tongue in cheek, knows exactly what he's doing, and I think it works for the most part. All of this is so like ridiculous, but very like fun and enjoyable.
I think part of the difficulty can also arise in people sort of taking it at face value and being like, look at this dumbass. He thinks that it's not silly to do bunny ear stuff. And it's like, no, he is being silly. Like, it's allowed to be like goofy and campy, but also have it sort of like trust in the audience that they will get that it's silly. And if they don't have faith in the movie, then they view it as sort of unintentionally funny when it can be very intentional.
Yeah,
Agreed.
I mean, I would say even given the language and culture barrier, I feel like they're laying it on pretty thickly. If someone is thinking that they're not meaning this to be campy, I would question their state of mind whilst watching it.
I mean, I could imagine much younger viewers, in their late teens or like 20s, very far removed from the 80s or 90s, thinking, well, that's how wild and crazy they were back then, that, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I think it's probably going to be pretty obvious for most viewers that this is very intentionally, silly and ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that they'll understand that it's silly and ridiculous, but I think where some of the confusion might arise is in like the melodrama, where they're like this office romance aspect, or like the three gossipy women who are like going around, like for them to say like, oh, this is just like bad acting or campy acting, and it is in fact being played up in a way that is very purposeful.
Yeah.
The two go out for cocktails, and as the date comes to an end, Saicho begins to dance with Biko on a pier. The excitement causes Biko's ears to sprout once more, and Saicho is freaked out. He calls her a monster, and he runs away.
Cockblocked by the ears once again. Tale as old as time.
Biko dejectedly walks home, and a giant turtle crosses the road. That's the end of that note.
I'm just now remembering that this is the second turtle reference, because we did talk about the Ninja Turtles. Do you think that this is potentially a reference to Eastman and Laird's Ninja Turtles? Probably comic books at the time, if I had to guess, right? That's all it was back then?
I think the cartoon may have started by this point.
Oh, okay.
Was it in 88? Gosh, I thought it started in 89, but you might be right. Yeah. But, I mean, the comic was certainly out. So, turtles were in the zeitgeist, so to speak.
That's right. And I'm thinking that this is, that classic give and take, right? This is essentially a Ninja Turtle pre-mutation. And I think it's sort of a foreshadowing based on the fact that we see the freaky fucked up mutant rabbits, and the freaky fucked up mutant pineapples. That pretty soon some ooze is going to hit these turtles that are crossing these streets, and we're going to get some Ninja Turtles.
I mean, honestly, like Miracle Bunny would have like fit in perfectly as like a helpful hero with the turtles, like as part of like their toy line or something, and those pineapple heads were essentially the foot soldiers of this story. I mean, I both of them would fit right into the Ninja Turtles universe.
That's right.
Radical.
It is. You know what? It is radical.
When Biko arrives at her house, we learn about her father, who is a giant rabbit. How would you describe this guy?
Normal dude, just chilling,
just classic dad.
Classic, yeah, he's watching sports on the TV,
The Giants, baby. I did laugh that the TV had rabbit ears. That was funny.
Good one.
No, this was this was a little bit of a shot. You get like little hints of it. Like you see like the hands and the feet, the way it's framed at first, because you're seeing most of the TV. But then when you see that full dad rabbit costume, oh boy. I will say it had a lot more articulation in the face than I would have anticipated. And I was actually pleasantly surprised by like the eyebrows and how they made them move and stuff.
It was really disconcerting.
Yeah.
I also loved in this triumphant reveal of the father that they literally hit the like dun, dun, like sound effect.
Yeah, when you say traumatic, I was going to say something similar, because I was watching this and my significant other was on the couch looking at her phone and happened to look up while he was on the screen, and she just said, "What the fuck is that?" And I was like, "It's a rabbit." Because
is it though?
Yeah, saying it's a rabbit doesn't really explain exactly. It's like, it is a guy in a white skin-tight leotard with an animatronic bunny head mask, but the bunny has like a human nose and teeth, and this unibrow that wraps almost entirely around his head. It is very, very odd looking.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
In the credits for 2, when you see the guy standing up in his full height while wearing this uniform, so it's just like a weird floating circular torso on his top half, and then silky white legs, and then at the very bottom, it looks like he's wearing like ski boots. It is such a powerful image that I was like struck. It looked like I got slapped.
Well, I was going to say too, we're underselling because the face of the rabbit is so huge. It's like from probably like chest or mid torso, like to the top of the person inside of its head. Like it really is a massive face on this on the rabbit dad.
Yeah,
I think people need to know this. So when Chris mentions the eyebrows that go all the way across, think like these things are probably 3 feet wide. The eyebrows on this thing.
It is crazy. I just don't even, because I've seen the cover of the VHS for this, so I thought it was going to be like a puppet, because on the VHS, you don't see that it's a full grown human. It looks like a little puppet. And then to see a Japanese full grown man in a leotard with just this very creepy face on,
and then he puts weird on the rabbit thing.
Yeah. It was all very odd. And it only gets more odd because Biko talks to her father about how she's ashamed of her rabbit heritage, and he flips the dinner table and punches her in the face.
Bro, she hates carrots. They are indispensable, bro.
Yeah. Biko leaves to once again walk sadly around the neighborhood, and her father gets drunk and laments the loss of his human wife years prior to a non-specific illness.
God, it was so sad.
I would just want to know who now has this like suit, this rabbit suit, as like a, you know, someone like a prop collector, someone from the production maybe, who's like, well, we gotta save this. This is like,
I don't want to spoil anything, but I did hear that Chris is gonna make quite an introduction at the screening.
Yeah, stay tuned. We see an unnamed woman walking the streets alone at night, and she is kidnapped by one of the aforementioned pineapple men.
Kidnapped by pineapple men. Also another tale as old as time, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't need to go through the plot of this because we're almost just hitting tropes that we see over and over. This is the hero's journey. We know all the beats. We know everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, but it's nice to see it executed so dynamically.
Yeah. The next morning, the newspapers are ablaze with reports of beautiful women being kidnapped all over the city, perhaps even across the globe. I wasn't really sure on that, but so far, 10,000 women have been abducted without a trace.
That's a lot of women. I don't know if anyone else knows this, but 10,000 women is a lot.
Yes.
I feel like also if there was like that many women who'd been abducted, like what women are still going to the office at this point like, to even be like getting harassed by fellow
real
coworkers.
Nice, Brantley. You want to shut down the wheels of the economy just because 10,000 women have gone missing.
Well, it's just like, look what happened with like Summer of Sam and like all that stuff. You had like women dyeing their hair to like avoid being like a target, you know, and then refusing to go out alone.
I mean,
and
meanwhile,
that was, I don't know.
These women are like, hey, why the fuck aren't we getting picked?
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't know anyone I don't know a woman that's been kidnapped by a pineapple man. So if I don't personally know anyone, it didn't happen.
That's a good point.
The pineapple men have always been really nice to me. I mean,
yeah, right. Yeah. It's just.
Biko returns home to find that her father is gone. Although there is a pineapple on the dinner table, Biko waits for her father to arrive for dinner, but he never shows up. And she decides to go look for him at a bar, a video store, and a pachinko parlor, but no one has seen him.
Can you imagine you're just trying to gamble your life savings away, and somebody approaches you and shoves a picture of a fucked up rabbit suit in your face? You're like, get the hell out of here, dog.
Yeah, she finds a photograph of her father and reminisces about a time when he took her to an amusement park and he was arrested, presumably for being a rabbit. It's a very funny.
I like how
that is a crime.
Yeah. Well, I like how they really took their time with this flashback and like really showed you plenty, way more than we even needed to see, really, to understand her state.
It really builds the emotionality. I agree, Brantley.
Yeah, 100%.
I do love when they throw her father in jail, and it's literally them throwing a stuffed animal rabbit on the ground. Good stuff.
Yep.
They only had one suit. You can't toss that thing around. You're going to, mess it up. You're going to break it.
Yeah,
the minute that
true.
thing got dirty, they were like, shut down production. We're
exactly.
done.
Biko realizes after looking at this photograph that she does love her father, and she resolves to go find him. She takes a bite out of a carrot and turns into what can only be described as a miracle bunny.
I would not be able to describe it any other way.
Agreed.
She returns, this time as the Miracle Bunny, to the same bar, video store, and pachinko parlor that she had checked earlier in search of her father. But again, the patrons know nothing of his whereabouts, but they do seem to receive Biko more warmly now that she's in bunny form.
Which is weird considering that everybody was like, no, we don't approve of your relationship with the mother and the father.
And considering how much her, I forget the gentleman's name, but her fellow coworker freaked out
right.
about
That's
it.
right.
It kind of goes counter to everything we've seen.
Yeah, maybe it was because at that point she was
not
half human,
owning
half
it.
rabbit. Yeah, exactly. She needed to have the confidence of the full
and
miracle.
That's the message. That's the message of the movie. You got to embrace who you really are, and the world will accept you.
That is actually the message. Yeah.
So she goes back home and meditates over some clues left by her father. A pineapple, a box of chocolate macadamia nuts, which I had no idea what it was until I watched the second movie, and a ukulele. She deduces that he must be in Hawaii and jumps on the first plane. And I don't know why, if you're like going to Hawaii, you go purchase a bunch of Hawaii related things and leave them on your dinner table. But I guess maybe he wanted to be found.
Wow.
But it's at this point
insightful
that the movie just sort of ends because we get a reprisal of the Miracle Bunny song from the beginning, and it's played over a montage of Biko just running around Hawaii, playing with white children and dogs. And it just sort of fizzles out.
I was stunned by the credits.
Agreed. I'm actually really happy you sent a link to Miracle Bunny 2, because I was like, had no idea of what to make of that ending. Yeah. I was kind of just like, what has happened in this movie?
When it transitioned to the intermission, I was like, oh, this is an intermission between Miracle Bunny 1 and Miracle Bunny 2. And I'm going to get the follow-up to this. We go right into Cyclops. I watch all the Cyclops, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to not go track down fucking Miracle Bunny 2. Luckily, it was right on YouTube. I watched it. I was like, this is incredible. This is the culmination of everything does come together in a truly delightful way.
Yeah, so, I mean, the first one just, like, she's just running around, like you said, and it ends up with a very brief voiceover of, like, hey, you want to know what happened to her father, why these women are being kidnapped, and why this giant turtle is walking around? Well, gotta watch Miracle Bunny 2.
That's how they get you.
It turns into, like, a farce.
Yeah, so...
like, even more of a farce.
So, Miracle, I guess, what are your thoughts on Miracle Bunny 1 as you watched it for the first time?
Miracle Bunny 1, I think, is fun, but I was like, I think Miracle Bunny 2 is what I want out of Miracle Bunny 1, because I'm like, it doesn't quite push it far enough. When we finally get to see the dad, and he starts acting a fool, you go, okay, this is fantastic. We're finally here. And then he vanishes. As a major plot point, they just get rid of this damn rabbit that we all came to see. So it's like, all right, it has some elements of goofiness. It has the silliness that we're enjoying that we talked about through this plot synopsis. But like, you also, I think, can't help but feel how much is not happening with what is going on.
I was going to say, like, it doesn't feel complete. Like, as much as it's just, like, fun to watch it and it's really, silly and campy, like, it does not feel like a complete story. And so, obviously, the fact that they're trying to get you to watch the second part makes sense once you get to the end there. But I was, like, shocked when the credits, I was like, what?
Yeah.
This is where we're at? But yes, I agree. Miracle Bunny 2 is, like, it just does a lot more with the characters. It's more ridiculous. It actually, completes a story. It's I feel like I've said a bunch already that, I enjoyed it because of the campiness, but it was just sort of very shocking to me to see it end like that. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, this must be a cultural thing, because that did not feel like a full story to me.
Yeah. So, Miracle Bunny 2 was made at the exact same time and released simultaneously, presumably just as a way to maximize video sales, because original content, I don't know what, 50 minutes combined for both of them. We've certainly seen some shorter V Cinema movies. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So,
especially we've seen some, none of the V Cinema we've seen to this point had the same funky energy that no human could have that would make us promptly fall in love with Miracle Bunny and Papa Rabbit there. One thing we haven't mentioned, because it's not really in the first one, but that I just want to send as a little tease of why I feel so slightly unfulfilled by the first one. There's a damn cackling robot overlord king of the Pineapple Men that is completely undiscussed in the first one. There are Pineapple Men getting run over by cars left and right. More dummy drops than you can imagine, than you can shake a damn pineapple tree at. It was just like everything that you can sort of envision happening when you go like, oh shit, there's weirdo pineapple men running around. Oh, they have a weird rabbit suit. Like all the things that your mind goes to when you realize the pieces that they have don't happen until the second.
Yeah.
It feels like for me.
So the second one starts out with a 10.5 minute recap of the first. And she's living it up in Hawaii when suddenly she realizes, like, wait a minute, why did I come to Hawaii again? And she remembers that she's supposed to be searching for her dad. So she pulls a pineapple out of her backpack and begins her search.
When she shoves it in that first lady's face and the lady is like, get out of my face. I don't know what you want, lady. It was just a great stolen shot from someone who's clearly not part of the movie.
Yeah. Well, also, too, just the fact that she has to ask herself, wait, what am I doing here again? Is just like, oh, you just are like setting the scene for what this movie is going to be. But also, like, the first film and this one, like they are like such like exposition kind of movies. And just like having to ask yourself that question out loud in a movie just like really hits that nail on the head.
Yeah.
Like dropping the exposition.
The synopsis was pretty funny, though. There is a moment where they're describing, like, why she's so fucked up at work. And it's like, but she had a reason for her bad vibes.
Yes. Like, yeah.
Yeah, same. Me too. It's because I'm at work.
Yeah. And everyone's smoking around me.
Yeah.
So we get a scene of Pineapple Men from the first film worshiping something that's blurred out.
So funny that it's blurred out.
I couldn't tell what it was. So I was like, I had assumed that it was like a phallic statue of some sort. And also, like, as you said, it is their robot overlord who appears in the opening dance song thing in the first one, but like in silhouette. Mm-hmm. So I had no idea what it was. If you only watch the first movie, you have no idea what that is. Also, the robot's on the cover of the VHS for the first movie and not the second. It's very, very confusing.
The most bizarre thing of all.
Yeah, it's like, it's like Pokemon Red and Blue. It's like, it seemed those pineapple guys are looking at a picture of Biko. Apparently she's the target for the next kidnapping. She goes around a market, as George said, shoving pineapples in people's faces. We see one of the pineapple men holding a map to their secret base. He tries to leave it in a conspicuous spot so Biko will find it, but the wind blows it away. And as the pineapple man gives chase, he is run over by a Volkswagen bus.
Classic.
Yeah, I did like this gag. That was pretty funny to me.
Yeah, because it is an ongoing gag. You would think in something that's like, 17 minutes long, when you take out the first 10 minutes, there wouldn't be enough time to have a recurring gag, but somehow Miracle Bunny 2 finds a way.
In
that's
fact,
a credit
I would
to
say
the filmmaker.
The gag even slightly overstays its welcome. I think the third one probably didn't need to happen.
So Biko stops at a tourist bar/restaurant where there is a large white tourist sitting at a table wearing nothing but a Speedo. It's very prominently in the frame. Very funny.
That's my dad.
Is it?
Yeah, yes. He's a rabbit.
Two of the pineapple men show up at the bar and attempt to sedate Biko with blowgun darts, but they keep missing. Eventually, they've knocked out everyone in the bar except for Biko, who is blissfully unaware of the pineapple men's attempt to kidnap her.
Folks, you gotta laugh.
And I thought this was very funny when that same shirtless white tourist takes a dart to the neck and says in a very Australian accent, "No!" It's a very, very good scene.
Wow. It is funny. I did laugh. And when she gets up and just walks away, that's comedy, baby.
Yep. And they even cut to the wide shot. You know, the wide shots for comedy. They freaking nailed it.
Biko walks around some more, and we see no less than 3 other pineapple men being run over by Volkswagen buses whilst trying to kidnap Biko. But quite fortuitously, she runs into her believed-to-be dead mother while walking around Hawaii, which is actually the Philippines, and they don't do really anything to hide that fact. They show the name of the city very prominently in one shot, but I feel like I have to point that out.
I mean, Hawaii's so far away.
Yeah. The woman reveals that she is not Biko's mother, but Biko's mother's twin sister, Yoshie.
What?
Wow. She explains that she and Biko's father were originally to be married, but that Biko's father got drunk one night when the Yomiuri Giants won the championship, and he slept with her sister, Biko's mother. And this is when Biko's mother got pregnant, and the grief rendered Yoshie infertile, but she's fine with it now.
Tale as old as time, am I right, fellas?
This is my first inkling of a difficult aspect of the story, let's put it that way. I have no idea why Biko's mother couldn't just say, "You're looking for my sister, not me." How this comes to happen, I guess. But
well, he's got that funky energy that they talk about, and it's irresistible, I think.
I guess so. Or maybe Biko's mom was drunk too. I don't know, but
yeah, could be. You know, everybody's getting hype about the Giants, so
yeah.
Just gotta have a quick little trauma dump in the cemetery, I guess.
Right. Who hasn't been there?
Mm-hmm.
I did like the little cartoon that they had of his assault.
Yeah. Cartoon version of Rabbit Father is actually somehow more off-putting than the real life version.
Yeah.
Biko sits at a beach, and she is approached by a man playing a ukulele. He transforms into a pineapple man and bonks Biko on the head with a hammer. When she awakes, she's strapped down to a table in the mysterious pineapple man lair. A weird robot-looking guy approaches her and explains that he is the one behind all the kidnappings, for he is King Hamehameka, the president of every man in the universe. He wants to conquer all beautiful women in the universe to create a harem. As the robot man goes to attack Biko, a carrot appears out of nowhere. She eats it and transforms into her Miracle Bunny persona and makes quick work of the pineapple henchman.
One tiny quibble, you called him weird, and I actually think he's really cool and interesting and a really fun guy.
So he's your idol now. That's what you aspire to be, right?
Yeah, that's right. I also would like to be the president of all that.
Well, he says too, like getting all those women is because it's what every man wants. And I just want to say, hey, not every man, okay? You know, people bring this up all the time. Why are men this? Not every man, okay? Let's carve out the exceptions where they need to be inserted, please.
Sure.
Of which there are many exceptions in this case, because I feel like it's a pretty crazy plan.
Yeah.
I did literally go, I was like, what, really? Like, how many guys would really want like a harem? This is, I don't know. I'm exhausted with a wife and a daughter. I don't think I could handle tons of women. I don't have the mindset for that.
This is how I know you don't have the juice to be Robo Overlord, Brantley. I'm sorry.
I know, I just don't got it,
Yeah, I think Brantley, now is the time to respectfully withdraw your name from the running for president of every man in the universe. We don't want to split the ticket. We got to let George propel to the front.
That's right.
And honestly, like my detractors say, I should have done this sooner so that the party could solidify around the appropriate candidate, but I will be withdrawing my name now.
Better late than never.
Yes, exactly right.
So Biko kicks the robot, and its head comes flying off, revealing that the robot was in fact her rabbit father all along.
What?
Somehow his plan of kidnapping beautiful women was supposed to convince Biko to be proud of her rabbit heritage. And even more surprisingly, somehow it worked. I think I watched this 3 times. I don't get it.
I think it's she's proud of her powers that she used to track him down and beat him up.
Well,
not
or
that she's proud of him.
That he wants her to have faith that she is beautiful, like all these other women who were also abducted because they were so beautiful, which is also just really effed up when it's your dad doing the kidnapping.
Yeah, and he was like, I actually just wanted to use the opportunity to get the old carrot wet, as they say.
His
further explanations made it worse.
Yeah, because it's like, oh yeah, I did this because of you, but no, actually also, like, I just really wanted to do this.
And she kicks him in the nuts for his trouble, which I do respect.
Yeah. I'm glad she doesn't just smile and go, oh, you, Dad. Like, she actually, does something.
She kicks him, and we get a Rush Hour-style outtake reel set once again to the Miracle Bunny song, The End.
Oh, and the turtle goes past one last time.
They do not ever explain that. Although,
they don't.
After I've watched it so many times, it finally dawned on me, I just think it's a tortoise in the hare reference.
Oh, wow.
So I assumed that too, but I was like, what is that supposed to mean in the context of this story,
I don't know.
Though?
I honestly thought that it was just supposed to be like anti-humor, basically.
That is a good guess, too. Don't know.
They're just like, here's a fucking weird-ass turtle going across the screen. They tell you that they're going to tell you what it is, too. Because I also watched it twice. And I was like, they promised that they're going to tell us what the fuck this turtle is in the first one. I think it's in the theme song. They're like, and you'll learn what's up with this turtle. And then, no. And I think that it actually is funny. But only if you go, I was invested in finding out what was happening with the turtle.
I
would have loved it if they added a line to the song at the end of 2 that said, tune in for number 3 to find out about the turtle. They still didn't tell you in 3. I love that was like the ongoing joke of this series.
Mm-hmm. So hey, maybe we even get into the Miracle Turtle franchise.
Wow. I mean, this is a very strange set of 2 movies. But what are your overall impressions of, we'll call it a franchise, the Miracle Bunny franchise?
I'm going to let George take this first.
Positive is my impression, only in its entirety. If it was just the first half, I would say negative because it is unfulfilling. But in its completion, I think that it is pretty darn fun.
Yeah, it's very fun. Second one definitely gets into some squiggy areas where you're just like, ugh, but like you just kind of got to roll with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's silly, it's fun. Maybe some jokes overstay their welcome, although I did really find the first Pineapple Man getting run over very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just it's ridiculous and over the top and just can't be fun. You know, who can't enjoy that?
And it's less than an hour in its entirety.
Yep.
So, is it consensus that you both enjoyed the second one more than the first?
Yes.
Yes, for me.
Shocking. So, I think I actually like the first one more, but, you know, taking what you guys said into account, and also, like, very few people have actually reviewed either of these on Letterboxd, so it didn't take that long to compare, but it does seem like more people like the second one, so I'm like, I think I'm calling an audible, and I'm going to swap the second one in there because it does explain the entire first one.
Very succinctly. I honestly do think that this is the right move.
I think I like the first one more because for me, out of all of the moments in both of them, I feel like the reveal of the father is probably the strongest moment, but it does fizzle out, as we talked about, into just like a weird dance number that doesn't really go anywhere. So, yeah.
I just had to check my letterbox. I gave them the same score. But what I think the difference is I think 2 maybe has lower lows with some of those like kind of silly like ooh stuff, but it has higher highs. Whereas the first one, besides the reveal of the father as the rabbit, is just kind of very, it's just very meandery and isn't really saying anything or telling much of a story. And so it just wasn't as fun. Let's put it that way. The second one is just more fun and silly.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you, Chris, that is a huge pop when the dad is first revealed. But all the other like weird stuff in the first one feel like setups or teases for something that doesn't actually happen. So like even when you're like, oh, that's weird, they're pineapple men, you're like, okay, it's not until they're getting fucking hit by a Volkswagen bus that we're really like, all right, now I see why we have weirdo pineapple men to have as the goons. Yeah. Like the fucking head just rolls to the ground and they linger on it for like a full 3 seconds. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I mean, I think these are sort of those things that are very, like, it's worth watching them once because, like, even in this very small sub genre of films, like, nothing quite like this exists because of, its weird origins of, like, being an image video that they just tacked on a very bizarre plot to. I certainly wouldn't, like, this does not belong in the V Cinema, my personal V Cinema canon, but I do think they're fun to watch one time at the very least and just sort of interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
So with that, that's the Miracle Bunny saga. So after Miracle Bunny, short intermission with a couple early CGI shorts from a videotape that I have that's called 10th Amateur Computer Graphics Animation Contest Selected Works 1998-3-29 Project Team Doga. So
I was not prepared for this the first time, and I had partook in the Devil's Lettuce, and boy, these 2 animations here were powerful stuff for somebody who wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, that videotape has a lot of like weird stuff on it. As you can imagine, it's a contest of some sort. It came with a program. The videotape has a program that's like, I mean, I haven't translated it, but some sort of CGI contest from amateurs in 1998. So it is very what the kids these days call vaporwave aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah, it would fit right in on a damn Racer Trash video.
Yeah, so then we get to the pièce de résistance, Cyclops.
Woo!
Another Age of Confusion V Cinema horror movie, much in the same vein as Gakidama and Biotherapy. It was produced by a company called Graphis, which still exists. They have a website. The producer email that I was given has that as the domain. But it doesn't really seem like they were ever really in the business of making movies. Based on the website, it seems like it's more of a small advertising agency. I really don't know anything about how this one came about, but it was directed by George Ida, who went on to direct Spiral in 1998. And he has another film called Another Heaven that I think I've put on my October watch list like 3 times, but I've ended up taking it off every time because it's 2 hours and 12 minutes long. So, yeah, this one has some actors with like some pretty hefty filmographies in it. You got Kai Otto, who also had roles in Lady Snowblood and Kagemusha. And you also have Yoshimasa Kondo, who voiced some minor characters in Princess Mononoke and Only Yesterday, a couple of Studio Ghibli films. And he also appeared in Godzilla 2000, but I did not see a character name, so I have to assume he's an extra somewhere in there. And you've also got Kazuhiro Sano from Entrails of a Beautiful Woman, so a little more star power than you usually see in these V Cinema films.
Yeah, I mean, hey, we should all be so lucky to be an extra in a Godzilla movie.
Yeah, I'm saying. So in the tradition of other great pieces of Japanese media, this one begins with a plot dump in the form of a text crawl. I reached out to someone who knows a thing or two about children and one-eyed monsters to provide a voiceover for this text crawl. Comedian and friend of the show, Billy Crystal.
Infants with severe malformations are called Cyclops. Because of this, their chance of survival is minimal. The name is derived from a stem of one-eyed creatures from Greek mythology. Besides Cyclops, there are other forms of malformations such as Siamese twins. These grave aberrations of the body are caused by air, water, and ground pollution, and by excessive use of medication through the mother, and as an effect of nuclear radiation. Since the evolution of mankind, our bodies are influenced by various harmful substances. Such pollutants harm the chromosomes and change the human genome. In most cases, the severely disabled babies were registered as stillbirths, or their birth was hushed up. This served as preservation of the species. However, in the 50s, there was a scientist who attempted to keep those babies alive. For him, those babies were a clear sign for the evolution of the human who gears up to the worst pollution to come. He died before closing his research. The few infants he experimented on survived thanks to his research and grew up.
Wow.
Well, nothing screams quality film than a really long explainer at the beginning to give you the backstory.
I mean, it's pretty good backstory, though.
It is, yeah.
It really, it puts me kind of in the, like, Cronenberg, It's Alive kind of feeling. Yeah, I don't know. Hey, we shouldn't be polluting so much. He's right.
Yeah, well, that It's Alive vibe will definitely come back later for sure.
Yes.
I just, honestly, and it's another one where it just kind of lays out very much like what the premise and themes of like what you're going to watch is. Just lays it right out for you, like Miracle Bunny.
Yeah, so in the last episode that I had you guys on, I did speak about this sort of impenetrable quality that I feel a lot of V-cinema films have. And I pointed to this one as like the prime example. You guys didn't really agree with me, so I wanted to ask you guys again, after this opening, did you get any of that this time around?
Chris, I feel like you're setting yourself up for failure because we just discussed how it fully lays out the whole plot right up front. I mean, what's there not to get, my guy?
This is like the most approachable one we've watched so far. Like, this is like the easiest to follow. Like, I love Gaki Dama, but this has like less of a, like struggle to understand than that. This was very straightforward.
And it really saves all the like explosive weirdness for kind of the end.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. Like it's this whole thing of like, there's these deformed babies. They're called Cyclops, but also some of them aren't called Cyclops. Also, they're called Siamese twins, and it's caused by air, water, and ground pollution, but also it's caused by mothers excessively using medication, but also nuclear radiation. And so I guess
I saw The Brood. I saw Scanners.
I guess I just get hung up on all of these weird, sometimes contradictory details being thrown at me, but other people like you can just watch this and just think, oh, there's deformed babies. Got it.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, you got to understand, like, how many seasons of Law and Order and all their offshoots are that start with in the criminal justice system. There's like we're used to this spiel at the beginning of our programming. We know what's going on. We can understand.
That's right.
Come on.
I just sometimes I can't see the forest through the trees. I'm like, I feel like certainly there's a specific reason that they're telling us all of this. Not all of it ends up being relevant.
I think it's just to make you feel bad. To go, oh, damn, I did do nuclear radiation.
Perhaps.
I truly do believe that Cyclops is a great entry point for someone to get into V-cinema because of how approachable it is. And it's perfect that you're choosing it for the screening as well.
Yeah,
because this was just like, I mean, it's a great, fun, goopy, gory story. It's great.
Yeah, and I mean, also, as we mentioned, there's not as much of a fidelity, like picture fidelity barrier for people to get over, because I don't know. I mean, to me, this very obviously seems like it was shot on film, although I have been fooled before by some of these. I mean, would you guys agree that it appears to be shot on film?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I think
definitely
so,
looks like it. I mean, I know that Japan had a lot of like HD footage before, like it kind of made it to other parts of the world. So, I mean, I guess it's possible they could have been shooting with early HD, but I don't know like how early they had that technology compared to when this was filmed.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be shocked if this was, shot on like standard VHS definition or roughly that same quality. I mean, I know like upscaling can do wonders now, but I think this sort of good picture quality, I would imagine, came from film.
Yeah.
But
so, I mean, it does look good. It looks much more like a movie than Biotherapy, for example. Although, I mean, that's another case where like maybe if we had a better copy of it, maybe that movie really pops. But I just wanted to remove as many barriers for enjoyment as possible. Although I will say the sound is pretty bad in this movie. A lot of the dialogue is very muffled, and maybe that's just, Sinistrange didn't have access to the original elements and did what they could, but I think it's my one complaint on a technical level of the presentation of this film.
Yeah, it's the kind of thing that I definitely noticed it, but I found a little easier to ignore, partially just because I'm already so focused on the subtitles. So
that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an issue, but I'm already kind of just letting the dialogue wash over me anyway, so.
Oh, you mean you're not getting hung up on every little detail of everything in the text crawl and every single thing that everyone says?
Chris, I think we can tell I don't get hung up on anything.
So after the text crawl, we get a shot of our main character, Miyuki Takamori, played by Kai Otto, holding a photograph of a very stern-looking scientist. Some on-screen text explains that this is Dr. Keiichi Takazawa, who died in 1971. She asks her brother Toru who the man is, and he explains that he was his mentor, who conducted the strange research to which he so passionately has dedicated himself to. And Miyuki says, he doesn't look like a gynecologist.
I mean, she's right? I mean,
I don't.
what does a gynecologist look like? I guess not him.
That's exactly it. I'm like,
it looks like Jeremy Irons.
Yeah, true. I mean, I thought that was a very funny line. I don't know
it is
why.
Good. I do definitely think again that it's like just straight up purposeful comedy. I do think it's successful in general with this. Like, there's another line later where she's like, "You don't think I'm a slut, do you?" And the other lady's like, "I don't know. Are you one?" And she's like, "Oh, fuck. I got trapped, hoisted by my own petard." You're like, yeah, it's funny.
Toru explains that the picture looks strange because it has been altered. The right side of the doctor's face was deformed, so he mirrored the left side of his face in the photograph.
I'm very curious how they did that at that time.
I think they just cut the photograph in half and Xeroxed it. I don't know.
No, I think magic, probably.
We get our title screen and some banging synth music that, if only it were more clear and forward in the mix, would really hit. But I feel like it does hit pretty good as like an opening stinger to a film.
Mm-hmm.
Miyuki strolls through a busy city with her friend Yumiko. They talk about boys and how Miyuki's sister-in-law is pregnant and due to give birth very soon. As Yumiko laments the state of her love life, Miyuki shouts out, "Look, a cool guy." And we cut to a car full of, I'll say it, like, not so cool looking guys.
If you yell out, "Look at those cool guys," and it cuts to a car, it better be like the cool guys from Big Trouble in Little China in that car.
Yeah.
Not like these guys. That's all I'm thinking.
And it's particularly glaring because they had some great shots here of like Japanese like street fashion and style of that time, and then it cuts to these like dudes in the cars, like the complete opposite.
Oh yeah, that dude who's like in the mirror, he's like looking in the window, and he like slicks his hair back a little bit. You're like, all right, guy.
Yeah. And Chris, I don't know if you're kind of glossing over it, but doesn't she also talk about how she wishes she could have a baby with I'm sorry, I'm blanked out on their name, even though you just said it.
Yumiko.
The friend there. Yes, Yumiko, which is like very forward, I felt, for that time. I mean, it's essentially positing sort of like a lesbian love interest of a sort, even if it's kind of more platonic, I guess.
I don't know. There's a scene where they're like rolling around in the bed together too, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm thinking there's some subtext here.
Definitely.
The two women stop for a snack at a McDonald's, and Miyuki excuses herself to make a phone call. One of the cool guys from the car approaches Yumiko and asks her if she is Miyuki Takamori. We cut to Yumiko naked on an operating table in a high-tech surgery theater. Two doctors are examining her. One of the doctors steps out into a waiting room populated with the cool guys from the car and explains to them that the examination shows that the woman is completely normal.
Okay, timeout.
Yes.
You just nonchalantly said we cut to this scene where she's on the opera. Okay. Not since Halloween 5 has there been a tonal shift from where we were before. The music that kicks in, like, really ramps up this, like, comical scene of them, like, you know, examining her on the table. It's like a comedy of errors of sort, as they're just, like, kind of squeezing parts of her body and shit, and, like, looking like they're not doing anything medical. It just reminds me of that scene in Halloween 5 where they kick up the kind of like Keystone Cops kind of music when those two cops are in front of the house. I was like kind of like taken aback when this cut happened.
Yeah, and also like we have this shot that's like it's showing her feet. It's like the camera is on her stomach. That's sort of the perspective. And one of the like as this upbeat synth music plays, one of the doctors is just like walking through the frame and then walking through the frame again from the same direction. It's very odd.
Yes. I thought that was another joke where he's doing like a little pervy peep on her every time.
Well, he definitely, like, the younger one was like a super perv later, but just like the cut was so jarring. I was like shocked by it.
It is. I also thought she was dead, frankly.
Same.
Yeah, same. I agree.
So this upsets a man who is presumably the leader of the cool guys, Nomura, and just then the second doctor emerges from the operating theater and shows Nomura the young woman's ID. This cool group of guys has kidnapped the wrong woman. Nomura directs his anger at a glasses-wearing cool guy named Sonozaki. Nomura believes that Sonozaki mixed up the women on purpose, and now Nomura, who is a state official of some sort, is involved in a kidnapping.
I will say, certainly the coolest looking of this quote-unquote cool gang.
Yes, he
For
has
sure.
a trench coat and the kind of glasses they give you at the eye doctor after they've dilated your pupils.
Yes.
And some serious bruising around the outside of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, and these are obviously like Chekhov sunglasses. I was like, oh, third act. Those bad boys are coming off. Yeah, we are not let down by that.
That's right.
As this is going on, Yumiko awakens, naked and confused. The cool guys go to the operating theater where they are attacked by Yumiko as she attempts to escape. Apparently the anesthesia wore off too soon, and now that Yumiko has seen the cool guys' faces, they have to get rid of her.
It's fucked up. It's fucked up, dude. You shouldn't be doing that.
Especially as a state official.
Yeah.
Well, especially as a group of guys she finds so cool. I mean, you're just letting her down so bad when you kill her.
That's right.
The next morning, Yumiko's body is found dumped in an empty lot. Miyuki sees her friend's body taken away in an ambulance, and her brother appears to console her and notices Sonozaki in the distance watching them. Sonozaki covers one of his eyes menacingly, almost like he's a Cyclops.
Almost.
Yeah, eagle-eyed viewers will pick up on that little detail.
Back at home.
It's subtle. It is subtle.
It's quite. Blink and you miss it. Especially if you're a Cyclops. Yeah. Back at home, Toru is going through some old case studies and he finds one labeled Michio Sonozaki. The glasses-wearing cool guy is, in fact, a damn Cyclops.
What the hell?
Shit.
Miyuki goes to her room and begins weeping uncontrollably on her bed. She wraps herself up in a bedsheet and falls to the floor. Suddenly, an extra set of arms and legs appear from beneath the bedsheet. What is that all about?
What? I'm just now realizing that it could be that they're the Siamese twins, right? Or conjoined.
Well,
is that what we're supposed to take as what was happening there?
So here's the thing. Deformed babies are called Cyclops, but also some of them aren't. And
right.
Some of them are called Siamese twins.
Right.
So who knows?
Who knows? Could be. Mm-hmm. I thought it was just like a vision. I literally watched this twice and I was...
This happened.
There you go. It's all coming together in even more sense now.
Mm-hmm. The cool guys meet up at a Tony Roma's. That is not a joke. They literally go to a Tony Roma's in Japan for 5 seconds, during which an irate Nomura asks Sonozaki if he has received an assignment. Sonozaki gestures towards his glasses, which scares the other cool guys, and Sonozaki says, "What happened, happened."
That's how you get your tax write-off.
Yeah, just prominently show Denny's and Tony Roma's in the frame. At the hospital where Toru works, he is confronted by a fellow doctor. The doctor asks Toru why he is pumping his wife full of medication and why she's been put on full bed rest. This isn't normal. Just what does Toru have in mind? Toru
I'm
just
starting
says,
to think this guy doesn't even look like a gynecologist, to be honest.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that classic gynecologist look.
Yeah.
Toru just says he wants the best baby possible, and I guess that's good enough for his colleague to overlook all of the malpractice.
All that juicy malpractice.
Yeah.
You said that the company that made this was mostly in advertising, it seemed like?
It seems like it.
That's how they got the Tony Romas.
That's what I was just thinking. And then they went to McDonald's earlier, too. I'm like, they didn't work for Japan McDonald's, you know?
Yeah, it is like always super jarring to me. There's been a few movies where it's like prominently displayed American chains that, especially like, I don't think I've ever been to a Tony Roma's. So to see one so prominently displayed in Japan is like, that's weird. Mm-hmm. There's this other one called Nightcaller from Hong Kong where they just go to a Chuck E. Cheese. And I was like, this is fucking crazy. What the hell is going on?
Wow.
Was it the same there? Like mostly kids?
It was kids, but
okay.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Like, I wonder if it was like different there where it's like after a certain hour, it's like a bar hangout or something for adults mostly or something.
Well, here in America, we didn't even have to wait for that certain hour because they were serving beer all day.
That's true. Yes. Yeah.
But you got to watch out for Pasquale making crank calls behind the Chuck E. Cheese. He's the night caller, I heard.
Miyuki is confronted by Sonozaki as she is walking home. He communicates with her telepathically, and Miyuki runs away. The cool guys pull up to Sonozaki in a car. And
sorry, hold on. I have to say, if you try and communicate with me telepathically, I will also run away. Just as a general statement. That's fucked up. Don't do that to me.
Yeah, I mean...
She's right.
Who would do any different in that situation?
Mm-hmm.
The cool guys pull up to Sonozaki in a car, and Nomura asks why Sonozaki didn't grab the girl, and Sonozaki just says, she's normal. One of the doctors in the car says, neither do I understand him, nor do I believe in divinipotence or telepathy. I especially came because they shall be proven. Such phenomena are like the deceitful sermon of new religious forms. And so, since both of you guys understand this movie completely, I would like you to explain to me what any of that just meant.
Well, first I'd like to compliment you on your pronunciation of divinipotence. Great work on that.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. My interpretation of this is that he's saying the science is all fake, like that because the data all got messed up. We've seen before. They've talked about how the research got all scrambled. And so I think that they've now gone far enough that this guy doesn't even, he's the government one. He's like the liaison. He doesn't think this is even really happening, that this is all like hypothetical stuff. And that the people who believe in it and who are trying to facilitate it as the next step in evolution are chasing some kind of pipe dream that is not actually any kind of human instrumentality, but just actually deformities.
Yeah, 100% agree with George on that. And I mean, I think, I don't remember if they've mentioned it at this point in the movie or not, but they mentioned that a lot of them were like aborted or stillborn and stuff. So this, the idea that there's any that even still exist out there is sort of like a far-fetched idea at this point in the story too, to him, I imagine.
Right.
So yeah, I think he probably is just like, even if it did, happen, even, which, he doesn't believe it, the idea that they would find any is just almost a zero chance for him.
Asked and answered, I guess. No, that's good. Toru is met in a parking garage by Sonozaki. They have a conversation about half of which made no sense to me. But the gist of it is this.
We got it all, but go ahead and explain your part.
Takazawa's research involved making the Cyclops babies appear outwardly normal, and it works for the most part. Sonozaki knows that Cyclops humans may revert to their original appearance as the result of a concussion or a heightened emotional event. He knows this because this has happened to him, and we briefly get a glimpse of his Cyclops eye. And also, now that I'm thinking about it, that's the same way you get miracle bunnies.
Wow.
Yeah, good point.
Consult.
That is a good point.
Concussion or a heightened emotional event.
You did a really good job theming these together.
Yeah.
I did it all on purpose. I'm acting like I just realized that.
I mean, I assumed it was on purpose the whole time.
Yeah, so what did you guys think of this first little reveal of the Cyclops eye?
I need more. I need a little more than that. Come on.
And thankfully we get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, I mean, I did love the little taste because, it kind of really established that, this is going to be a real practical effects heavy movie as we get going. And boy, was I not disappointed once we got there.
So Sonozaki meets with Miyuki. He explains that Toru is not really her brother. He's a Siamese twin, and something terrible will happen when the baby is born. So
How does that make him not her brother?
Yeah, I was a little confused about that.
I think that he had been taken in by the doctor, and then in the doctor's research that they took in this child as well, and then he died. And so he's like, all right, I guess I'm going to continue the research, and I'll just say that I am her brother because we were together with the doctor. So it's more of a step adopted family kind of thing than
okay, all right.
That's kind of how I took it, but it was also not explicitly stated, and kind of it doesn't really matter that he's not her real brother.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I thought she was saying the two of them were originally Siamese twins who were separated, but therefore he's not really her brother. And I was like, well, wouldn't that still make him your brother? Just you're separated at this point. So that's where my confusion was.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
So Sonozaki rides through the city in a car with the cool guys. Nomura wants Sonozaki to capture Toru's baby once it is born. But Sonozaki kills Nomura and the doctor, saying that he wants to kill Toru's baby as well because this research is useless.
I actually really liked this little monologue that he gives about loneliness and how the pain, nobody else should have to go through this pain that I didn't want inflicted on me either, kind of thing.
I think he has really interesting motivations as a villain, like when later on when he's like, you just want to live as a human, he's almost disgusted that he's not using these abilities that he has access to. And on top of that this guy is claiming that this is the next step in evolution or whatever, but he's ashamed of it in a way that he is hiding it. Yes, exactly. Yeah. So I kind of dug his sort of motivation. I kind of found it compelling and interesting.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, I mean, there's a couple conversations that I did kind of gloss over. One is, as George was talking about, while they're in that car, he's sort of saying, this fucking sucks. I'm a fucking Cyclops. I don't know why you're perpetuating this research. And it's the same thing when he's in this car, because he's this is stupid. And he just kills all of them. But there's also when he's with Miyuki talking about how Toru is a Siamese twin, he begins the conversation of the rat poison from 10 years ago doesn't work on rats anymore, which is a lot like a conversation that happens in the first It's Alive movie, where John P. Ryan is in the husband's waiting room while all of these men's wives give birth, and they're talking about how they live in a toxic environment, and perhaps, at least in the first one, it's hinted that that's why all of these mutant babies are being born. You find out later that is like a very explainable and specific reason for it, but it's like, it really did remind me of It's Alive, particularly in that moment, because he's talking about, the researcher Takazawa kind of believed it was the same with humans, and that, we're exposing them to all of these pollutants and they're becoming Cyclops / Siamese twins, but also they're stronger and better than real humans.
Yeah, there's another moment that reminded me kind of It's Alive, just in terms of the sort of pharmaceutical angle that they're playing up a little bit, where they are in the malpractice that the husband / brother is doing. He is like jamming his wife full of drugs in her pregnancy. And there's like actually like a pretty, I thought, impactful shot of like her bedside table just littered with what might be considered natal care, but might be considered, who knows, right? And she's just blindly trusting it because this doctor told her to. And so, obviously we're at a very sensitive time for medical misinformation in terms of like RFK sort of taking in charge of the health department. But it is just like so... I don't know. There was a shot there where I was like, oh yeah, this is like a real movie. We're watching a real movie right now.
Yeah. George, I don't know what you're talking about. My ivermectin and raw milk is keeping me healthier than ever. So
right. I meant from the other side where finally we have access to real medicine again.
Oh, yes. Perfect. Yeah, there you go.
I do also feel like in a weird way, it's sort of speaking to like, I don't know. It feels like every generation like reinvents what is like medically appropriate. Sometimes, a lot of times that's just based on new research and we have a better understanding, but there always seems to be sort of this mystique around childbirth and things like that. It's an area of medicine where a lot of like old wives' tales are still repeated to these days of like, oh, you're carrying low, so it's going to be a boy, or like just weird shit like that. And so I wonder if this is maybe commenting on something that was possibly in vogue in Japan, like at this time, of like maybe there was a craze around prenatal vitamins, and this is perhaps some sort of pushback against that. I don't know.
Yeah, could be. We're gonna get everybody to be Cyclopses and Siamese twins again.
Jesus. Well, I think too, like when you're giving birth, you realize, or when you're pregnant and, you're recognizing you're in charge of another person's life now. And, the care of that being is your responsibility. And so I think that probably instills a lot of fear and worry. And so, I think that's why we see a lot of like worry about vaccines now, even from people you wouldn't expect. Just like, you don't want to do harm to your child, and you worry that like, these shots that are supposed to protect them long term might be doing harm, so it makes you hesitant. And yeah, I wonder if that, it's playing on some of those fears, I think.
Yeah,
absolutely. Sonozaki arrives at the hospital just as Toru's wife is about to give birth. Toru and Sonozaki meet in an elevator and begin having an all-out Cyclops fight.
Pretty fucking sweet.
Yeah. So I guess you guys walk us through this, because it is like, this is what you pay for the ticket for. So how did this Cyclops fight hit you guys?
Fucking rad as hell. I mean, well, the doctor comes armed with a scalpel and is waiting at the elevator, like just knowing it's going to happen. And, as it goes on long enough, you realize it's not even so much because he thinks he'll win. It's because he wants to distract him long enough that like the baby can be born and hopefully give it a chance to live and survive, basically. But oh man, as this scene goes on, and it went on way longer in the elevator than I thought, but I loved every second of it. Just, this is like practical effects, like awesomeness. Like, it is amazing. I mean, sure, like some of the effects aren't as good as others, but I think I've said either on here or other podcasts that it's like, I like seeing the seams sometimes, because it just reinforces that like someone put in the work and the effort to craft this thing, this physical object that we are now seeing represented on screen, and put all their artistic work and creativity into it. And it was just amazing. The effects in this were awesome. I loved like every second of this elevator scene.
Yeah, it starts off with that scalpel wound and you go like, okay, this is cool. It's going to be like a little gory here. And then it just continues to build and build and build in a way that is really, really satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sonozaki has like a third arm that comes out of his chest and strangles Toru. Toru uses a scalpel to escape, and Sonozaki says something about he wants to kill Toru as he really is. He takes off his glasses, and we get to see his Cyclops eye.
And that's actually how you become a miracle bunny, too.
And
when
then,
you say third arm, it's literally like a long ass tentacle. I mean, this shit's awesome. He's like holding him like up and choking him with it. Like it's great.
So then, as Sonozaki is strangling Toru, an extra arm comes out of Toru's arm. There's a lot of extra arms going on.
That was cool though when it comes out of his arm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so that causes Sonozaki's head to fully split open, which reveals a grotesque Cyclops monster head. Great stuff.
When his head splits open, both of their heads split open. When the first guy's head splits open, the non-Cyclops, the Siamese guy.
Toru, yeah.
Yeah. He, his like the face, I don't know if it had some kind of animatronics or something, or if it was just like wiggling in the wind, but there's like a little movement on the split off face that is like, you go, oh, what is happening there? It's like gross in a way that, I don't know, felt like it was almost, it felt real in a way. Like it sort of, for a brief moment, transcended my knowledge of the fact that this was a practical effect and looked genuine because of the way that it was moving around and seeing that was clearly the fake one, but like was still doing something.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe. Like a second version of him comes out of him, but like sideways. And they do say something in tandem. I forgot exactly what they say.
Me too.
But
I think they say, come play with us forever.
I don't think I've ever seen, actually, a few of these, I don't think I've ever seen like that specific thing done in a movie before. So it is very like visually interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when he sloughs off the like second, the body he comes out, that's when like I'd argue like the special effects are maybe at their weakest, but even then, like it's still so good compared to so much of what we get nowadays. Because like George was mentioning, when you first see it, there is that movement, which is like, oh, cool. When he sloughs it off, it's kind of like you can see it's like just like this dummy kind of, face and everything. But still, it's just so damn good. I mean, this whole scene was like, that's what you're paying that ticket price for when they come to watch this in New Mexico with you. Like this elevator scene is amazing.
Yeah. And so then it's like their bodies sort of slowly degrade into just like tentacles and then like fuse with each other. They look like the what the fuck is it?
Shunting in Society?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, Shunting in Society is a good analog. I was thinking of Tetsuo at the end of Akira, where he's just like a writhing mass of like wires and tentacles.
That's funny. I was agreeing with you when I thought you were talking about Tetsuo the Iron Man, when like they both kind of just continue to degrade into further metal monsters and like continue their fight against each other.
But the mere fact that it can be compared to Society, Akira, and Tetsuo the Iron Man, it's a testament to how good it is.
Certainly so.
Agreed.
Miyuki arrives at the elevator just in time for the Toru Sonozaki mass to emerge. Miyuki begins to bleed from the forehead. The stress of this situation is just too much for her to bear, and she reverts to her Cyclops appearance, although I feel like the scene where she's rolling around with herself in bed implies that she's a Siamese twin. So, which
maybe
is it?
She's the unification of both.
Yeah.
Wow.
There you go.
At the same time, Toru's wife gives birth to a trilobite that races through the hospital and attaches itself to Miyuki's face.
And this is the first time I started getting It's Alive vibes from the movie.
The doctor who delivered the baby follows the trail of blood through the hospital. He finds Miyuki next to the body of Toru and Sonozaki, but there's no trace of the baby to be found, and Miyuki's face has reverted back to normal. The screen fades to white, and Miyuki says, "We have to think of a name for you, right?" And so, when I mentioned earlier that during the conversation between Toru and Sonozaki in the car, most of it kind of doesn't really make sense. Like, half of it makes perfect sense, and the other half just seems like non sequitur English that was translated first from Japanese to German and then to English, which I think is probably a problem with it. But do you guys think that Toru is trying to create this perfect baby as like to serve this purpose, as like an augmentation for a Cyclops or Siamese twin? It like fuses with them somehow, and that's what allows them to keep their outwardly normal appearance. I didn't really know what to make of this.
I view this as a very like Weyland-Yutani kind of thing, as like he is just trying to create the perfect organism, and that might be sort of transhuman, right? Like it doesn't necessarily look like humanity, even though it is born of it. And yeah, I felt like it kind of rides the line though, because it has that, but I think it also is trying to say that like if there is a family to receive it with love, that it can become more of a beneficial symbiote, which one might call a babby. Because yeah, I don't know, like we see that a lot of this guy's initial pain is from like the loneliness, like he talks about. So I think the idea of like someone coming to it without fear and like, you know, being like, okay, I am also jacked up. I think it just sort of calms both of their emotions, and it like maybe climbs into her and makes her pregnant because she wanted a baby.
See, I thought more it just like attached and fused to her face in some way. That's what I was thinking. What do you think, Brantley?
Well, I think it originally attaches and fuses to her face, but then it becomes a part of her almost like that Siamese twin. So they are kind of like two entities together inhabiting the same body.
Yeah.
But from the doctor's perspective, I don't know if I ever got like the Weyland-Yutani thing you mentioned. I just figured like him being someone who had experienced it too, he knew it was going to happen and just like wanted to do what he could to like give them the best possibility at life, because he, you know, was, I don't know what I don't know what I'm saying here, but like,
I mean, there was that one part where he's like, "Watch out, this birth is going to be fucking crazy."
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Like he knew what was coming, but I don't know if I would prescribe, I guess, like any deeper motivation than just trying to give another organism like himself the opportunity to live.
For me, it's coming from the very fact that he took up the research at all, because they talk about, and the emphasis in the car on this sort of pseudoscience religion or whatever that he's talking about. Like, I think there are some breadcrumbs about this being sort of people pursuing it as a almost eugenics style thing and almost cultivating it as the next step in evolution. And so I just feel like maybe there is some translation issue. Maybe it's just not, they don't have enough time to fully develop that angle of it. But that was at least sort of the piece of the story that I was connecting to that.
I mean, I could see him as like a Magneto X, thinking they're superior beings, kind of mutants.
A very what the fuck is that? The Basket Case 2 and 3 kind of style.
Yep.
But yeah,
what do you think, Chris? No one asks you that on your podcast. What do you think?
Well, I mean, like I said, it is. That's really the only way I could think of it, because is it some like. I mean, they do reference like that Dr. Takazawa, I think his name was, doing research, and that research culminated in the Cyclops and Siamese twins having outwardly normal appearances, but they never actually said how that was achieved. Like they never said like, oh, it's a shot, it's an injection. So I guess you could make the argument that this is how, and that's how it was supposed to be, and that Toru was making this for himself so that in the event his Siamese twin self erupted, he could have this second symbiotic twin. I don't know. Because like George said, he knows that it's going to be a weird birth. So I have to
here's
like wonder
that,
like to what end is he giving her all of this medicine?
Something else that just made click for me is that the villain says like it's whatever treatment is stopping. It's not working anymore for him. Like he's like, my original face is coming back. So maybe the doctor is like, he also feels that the Siamese part of him is coming out again. And he's like, I need to cultivate this baby that is part of the treatment, maybe in some like stem cell kind of way, and use that to sort of push down this what he views as a deformity again.
Right. And so I wouldn't say I still don't have a grasp on it, but I did feel like Toru was almost like a Jeff Goldblum in The Fly sort of character, where it's like the climax of that is like, I want to absorb my wife and unborn child, and so I can not be a fly man anymore.
Yeah. And who can't relate to that?
Yeah.
Again,
I think all this...
Go ahead, Brantley.
Oh, no, I was going to say, I think this all speaks to why Cyclops is amazing art, because we have all these different interpretations of it, and we're left wondering, you know?
Yeah.
It's not art's jobs to answer questions, it's art's jobs to ask questions.
So
and it's got us thinking about it.
So true.
Yeah, so thoughts on Cyclops. How'd you guys feel about this movie?
I fucking dug it. I mean, look, as fun as, you know, Miracle Bunny 1 and 2 were, I thought this was just, like, awesome. Like, fucking front to back. I think there's, like, a little bit of a lull in the middle, but, I mean, that finale is so amazing. I mean, this might be above Gakidama for me, honestly.
Whoa.
I loved this one.
Whoa.
Love Cyclops.
I did like it. I don't know if I loved it quite as much as Brantley did. I think I would have liked it to maybe be a little longer and maybe have a little bit more spice in the beginning pieces of it. It definitely is interesting. I was invested the whole time, but knowing what it winds up exploding into, I was like, oh, I would have loved to have also been getting this the whole time as well.
Sure. Yeah.
It's like, you know, if they're like, oh, this woman is gonna be killed because she's a Siamese twin or whatever, like, let's see her erupt into Siamese twin, not roll around in the sheets with a little hint of an arm or whatever.
Yeah, and I think one of the things we didn't talk about as much is that it looks like a movie. There is like thought put into camera movements and shot composition and lighting in a way that a lot of times you don't see in these V cinema films. It looks really good, I think. You know, it has sort of that city pop, late 80s, early 90s Japan look to it, where, you know, there's shots of a guy wearing huge sunglasses standing against a backdrop of like a lit Japanese city at night.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
sure.
you hit the nail on the head. I mean, it looks beautiful, and, you know, all of that practical effect. I keep harping on it, but they were so great, and it was just so amazing. There was some real production value behind it, and great performances too. We haven't really talked about it, but I think everyone in this just does a really good job. I mean, what's the young woman's name who gets the baby comes into her? Remind me. Miyuki. And when she's rolling around there at the end, it's a little bit like silly and over the top at times, but like for the most part, I think all the performances and, you know, stuff in this are really awesome too. So it's really good all around.
I think here's the thing. For me, I think it comes too close to being a real movie for me to fully love it. When I think about like the weirdo void that they're eating in Gakidama, and like how like weird and surreal that becomes, that is because it's like not executing fully like a normal movie. And I think when I watch this, I go, yes, this is a good example of a low budget movie, but I felt like Biotherapy and Gakidama almost transcended that. They were like something else entirely to me.
Yeah, I mean, Gakidama, that's at the top for me, but this is like, it is, I canonize this as part of the Mount Rushmore of Age of Confusion V cinema effects movies. Like, it is very good, But I think I kind of agree with your take on it in that it's so good that it loses some of the juice that I do love about these movies so much.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
But yeah, so that's your second experience with V Cinema. Overall positive view of the subgenre at this point, it sounds like.
Definitely. And you know, the fact that I was so enraptured by my exposure to V Cinema thus far that I actively went and I was like, I gotta see Miracle Bunny 2. I think speaks to that.
Yeah, I'll echo that sentiment. I mean, yeah, both of these episodes have been a blast getting to check out some of this V Cinema films that you've shared with us. Now, I mean, like, I don't know if I'll have this experience with all V Cinema, but I think you're curating some excellent films for us to really enjoy as you've done these episodes. So thank you for sending these our way, Chris, and getting me into them.
You're welcome.
Yeah,
well,
indeed.
I do think I'm putting a moratorium on V Cinema for the rest of the season. I actually had not planned to talk about it again so soon, if not for the fact that I have the opportunity to show these in theaters. But yeah, next time I have you guys on, hopefully I can get some, have something a little more varied.
Documentaries. Yeah, we already locked it down. So
quite possible.
I'm
looking forward to that too.
Yeah.
I contain multitudes, and one of those multitudes is V Cinema, and one of them is documentaries.
Yes. And so does Mayuki by the end of this film. She contains multitudes.
So true. Wow. Great point, Brantley.
So that was Miracle Bunny 1 and 2 and Cyclops. Thank you guys for coming on and breathing life into this dead format with me. Tell the fine folks out there where they can find you and anything you've got in the works.
Yeah, if you want to check out my documentary film, it's called Everything to Entertain You, The Story of Video Headquarters. That is available on Plex and Tubi. You can also rent it if you don't want to watch any ads on like Amazon Prime. It's like $2.99 or FlixFling. I think it's going to be coming out to DocPlay, that service, soon as well. You can also buy the Blu-ray for it and watch the thing that's gotten the highest praise of it, which is the special features I have included as a part of that Blu-ray. Wow. It usually gets higher marks than my movie itself. And if you really love old media, it is also still available on VHS from Lunchmeat VHS, so you can check it out there. Otherwise, you know, Chris mentioned I am the co-host of a podcast. We haven't really done any episodes in a while. That may change, but if you do ever want to check out any of our old episodes, you can listen to Horror Drafts wherever you get your podcasts. And otherwise, listen to the With Gorley and Russ podcast because I do the research for them. But that's really all I got.
I have nothing. You can't find me anymore. I'm not on social media. So.
Don't sell yourself so short, Jordan. You had an awesome podcast called Best Little Horror House in Philly. People should listen to all the old episodes.
Lot of fun stuff in the back catalog, no doubt. It is defunct, so nothing new coming out, but certainly lots of good stuff from ye olde history.
Wow. Well, on behalf of Brantley and George, I'm Chris, and this has been another episode of Dead Formats. Once again, if you want to see these films on the big screen, that is going to be August 9th at the Guild Cinema in Albuquerque, New Mexico. So thanks for listening.
I want to,
go.
Last second thing. I want to throw my weight behind that as well, because I think if you're even considering it, not only will it be really exciting to see these on screen, but it's just awesome to like get out to a community of like-minded people. Like the people who show up to this screening are all going to be the same kind of people who have the same kind of taste as you. And like, I think if you're considering going out to the screening, you should take the opportunity because who knows when you'll get the opportunity again. So get out there.
And just to go off of that, you know, you'll be supporting what sounds like a great independent movie theater, and they need all your support right now. So please support those awesome places in your community. If you have a cool independent movie theater, or, you know, if you have a cool independent video store still, or anything like that, support those places that are showing and doing cool stuff, because if you don't, they aren't going to be around for very long.
Yeah.
Yeah, co-signed. Go support the Guild Cinema. They're completely independent. They've been in operation since 1971. Locally owned. Doesn't get much better than that.
Hell yeah.
So yeah.
All right, now you can sign off.
See you guys later. On behalf of Brantley and George, I'm Chris. This has been Dead Formats. If you have any questions about the show, or if you have a dead format topic that you'd like to hear me cover, or if you have any suggestions for potential guests, please reach out. You can email me at deadformatspod@gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Instagram at deadformatspod. Thanks for listening.